Everybody. Hello there, everybody. Let's do this. We are very excited. UFC 322 is a day away. We just had official weigh-ins earlier this morning. We'll talk about that here. We'll talk about just this massive event as the UFC returns to Madison Square Garden, the Mecca, the world's most famous arena. And I have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I am fired up for this card. I have been fired up since UFC Vegas 111 ended. I was fired up way before that, but once UFC Vegas 111 ended, I knew we were getting ready, we were getting primed, we were getting prepped for, in my opinion, the best fight card of 2025 for the Ultimate Fighting Championship. They gave it their all. This feels big. It feels like a card that belongs at Madison Square Garden. And I know Jed sort of laid out outside of UFC 205. This is probably the best lineup the UFC has ever had at Madison Square Garden, and I would have to agree. Of course, the main event, we have Della Maddalena defending the UFC welterweight title against the former lightweight champion Islam Makhachev, who makes the move up from 155 pounds, and he was a dominant champion there. He's taking a risk. He's betting on himself. He's trying to make some history. And we'll see how it all plays out. Of course, the co-main event, another big super fight with a dominant champion, a multi-time champion in Valentina Shevchenko, taking on Zhang Weili, the former multi-time UFC strawweight champion who vacated her belt to make her way up for her chance to make history. And then the rest of this main card just absolutely rocks. We have Sean Brady versus Michael Morales. We have the former welterweight champion Leon Edwards taking on Carlos Prates, and we have Beneil Dariush taking on Benoit Saint-Denis. So I am Mike Heck. Bear with me. It's been a long week. Allergies being back here in South Carolina, so throat's a little scratchy, a little nasally today, but we battle through because even if I didn't have a voice, I would battle through it anyways for UFC 322. So my best friend, Alexander K. Lee, is going to join me in a few moments. He'll talk about what happened at weigh-ins, any crazy things that went down. Of course, we found out that Beneil Dariush did miss weight. Honestly, if you would have said, outside of like the title competitors, if you had said, who's one fighter who won't miss weight? Beneil Dariush probably would have been at the top of the list. So I was very surprised by that. But he did miss weight. The fight will go forward. 20% goes to Benoit Saint-Denis, who is looking to get back on, continue on his winning ways. He had a little bit of a setback, got finished by Dustin Poirier, got finished by Renato Moicano, and then he bounced back with a couple of finish wins of his own. So that's a massive fight at 155 pounds. And as Joseph Boza laid out, he missed by 1.2 pounds, which is kind of interesting because they went with the digital scale in New York, which I love. I wish they would go with the digital scale more often than not, a little more transparency, but it's a massive event. I'm very excited about this. If I was giving this a 1 to 10, this is like a 9.3. Like UFC 300 is like the top of the top for me. This is kind of right below, honestly. Like I'm just as excited. This is one of those events where I wish we were doing the watch party like at 8 p.m. where like for UFC 300, we did the watch party from the very first fight of the prelims all the way through. I don't know if it's that kind of event, but the last 9 fights are all super duper interesting. So, like I said, AK is going to join us in a couple of moments. We'll break down some things about the card, and it's going to be fantastic. But of course, the main event, that's the one everybody has circled on the old scorecard right now. Della Maddalena taking on Islam Makhachev. And this fight has sort of taken on a life of its own with all the different storylines, all the different outcomes, the aftermath, what could follow the fight. And when this fight was first booked, I will say this. My initial thought was, I kind of think Islam Makhachev is just going to run over Della Maddalena. And I know a lot of people sort of pushed back on that when I first said that. But the big reason I thought was Islam Makhachev could just take him down at will. And I know that Della Maddalena showed a lot of improvement in the Bilal Muhammad fight. JDM definitely had some moments where he was able to defend some takedowns. But at the same token, going back and rewatching that fight, which, by the way, if you haven't rewatched JDM versus Bilal Muhammad, I highly recommend it. It is a terrific fight. It might be the fight of the year. If it doesn't win it, it's definitely going to be in the top 5. But it's such a great fight. And the most surprising part of that fight to me was because I had picked Bilal Muhammad to win that fight because I expected him to just go out there and pressure, which he did, but he didn't shoot as many takedowns as I had hoped. I think he fell in love a little bit too much with the stand-up, and by the time he got to that point where he was going to try to shoot and try to wrestle, it was kind of like that moment had passed already. Like JDM had already sort of done his thing, and for Bilal to really have success in this fight, and he did have success even on the feet, he was going to have to get takedowns. He was going to have to set the tone early. He chose not to do that. So it made the fight a lot more interesting and a lot different than I thought it was actually going to be. In this case, there's definitely some variations that come with this fight. And to join me to discuss the differing variations is my best friend, Alexander K. Lee. AK, welcome. How are you, sir?
Thank you. I am, dude. I am so excited. Sorry, everyone, about me being late. I was just covering the Eubank Ben 2 ceremonial weigh-ins, both men on weight. No drama this time. You guys remember back in April, a little bit of drama with Chris Eubank that cost him $500,000 after missing on the scale. So none of that today. But damn, guys, what a Saturday we have ahead of us. UFC 322 and Eubank Ben 2. Oh my goodness, it is good to be a fight fan.
I'm so pumped, dude. I'm so pumped for UFC 322. But I was talking about the main event, and my initial thought about the main event was, man, Islam's just gonna beat him. Like I think JDM will show flashes and have moments, but I think this is Islam's fight to lose. And then the more I go back and watch their past fights, especially JDM Bilal and some different things, and going back and watching Islam fight Volkanovski that first time, it's just even the Dustin Poirier fight, I'm starting to feel like the gap has closed a little bit on this fight, where I kind of went from, all right, I think I know how this is going to go, to I don't really know how this is going to go. Like there are some differing factors looking back at the Bilal fight, looking back from the first Makhachev Volkanovski fight, where I feel like this fight could be a classic, AK. Your thoughts on this incredible main event a little more than 24 hours away?
I'm surprised, especially to hear you say that you're veering a little bit more back towards center, my best friend, because I know earlier this week, or at least heading into fight week, you're pretty confident, I thought, about your picks in the top 2 fights. But I'm where you are going now, or I've been here, where like I'm only slightly tilting in one direction. But these top 2 matchups, and yes, we'll focus on the main event. Della, Maddalena, and Makhachev. It feels so close. I mean, that Bilal Muhammad beating Bilal for the title was really the perfect setup for Islam, right? Because Islam, has been talking about possibly moving up to 170 for some time. He had business to take care of at lightweight, which he did. There was the possibility that Topuria fights, so we all kind of felt like, oh, is there a chance that he hangs around and fights Topuria first? But he made his own moves, and that's fine. I think we have to respect that. And then it just so happens that he beats a guy who has trained with Islam on multiple occasions, a guy who, though he mostly struck with JDM, was previously known for sort of having, emphasizing wrestling. I think people forget there were some takedown attempts in the first fight. It certainly wasn't, Bilal trying to force the issue with his wrestling like he has in some other fights. So I get it. People kind of forgot. But I do think some of the reason the fight was standing was because JDM showed a bit of takedown defense, right? Islam and Bilal are 2 different beasts. I'm not saying, oh, well, if you can stop Bilal's wrestling, you can stop Islam's wrestling. Totally different things. I get it. But it really was the perfect setup for this fight, because you could, after JDM won a pretty convincing decision over Bilal, and we all knew the Islam fight was coming, we were all kind of like, well, man, if he could do that, he looked really good against Bilal, a guy who was on a huge win streak, or unbeaten streak, I should say. So I was very tempted to just pick Islam right away, because Islam is our pound for pound number 1 guy on the MMA fighting list. But it just doesn't feel so simple. It feels like we might be seeing, excuse me, I don't know how high people are on JDM. he might be at the beginning of his own epic run, right? Like we see him as the guy who's sort of standing in the way of Islam making history, Islam becoming a 2 division champion, establishing himself as one of the maybe the 7th or 8th best, mixed martial artists of all time. But maybe that's not the story that's going to unfold on Saturday. Maybe it's JDM who's starting his run, and 3 years from now we're talking about, man, remember when JDM beat Islam? Remember when he beat Bilal, and then he went on to win 6-7 straight more fights, this crazy 20-something fight win streak. It's hard to tell. You've got these two narratives, smashing into each other, which is just awesome. I mean, when you're a fight fan, that's exactly what you want to see. And stylistically, it does feel like JDM has the tools to beat Islam. Great takedown defense, good striking, great cardio, but that's all on paper. And again, he has not fought anyone like Islam yet. Really, no one has until they step in there with him, right? The guy might be the best fighter of this generation.
Yeah, and what makes this fight so interesting is that Bilal did have success on the feet. He did land 155 significant strikes. It was competitive even on the feet. And Bilal did land 3 takedowns in the fight, but I think he had a total of 3 minutes of control time, maybe a little over. So, did make a huge difference. And again, Bilal didn't set that narrative early. He waited, pretty long into the fight to get takedowns. And even so, Jack was very good at defending and not letting Bilal him. And obviously, Islam is an overall better grappler than Bilal Muhammad. Bilal is very good, but mostly because of pressure. He just wears you down. He takes your energy bars and just chips away at it over and over and over again. Jack is very hittable, which is one of the things that I've noticed. Defensively, not as sound, and maybe it's just because he was surprised that Bilal was just going to stand there and throw 350 punches at him throughout the course of that fight. So that could be something as well. But Islam, I actually think, is a better striker than Bilal too. So that makes this one interesting. Could Jack lure him into a fight where Islam just falls in love with his striking the way he did this with Bilal? It's possible, but Islam is very detail oriented. He is incredible defensively. I think he's super underrated in that aspect. So I cannot wait to see how this fight plays out, AK. I really can't. So is the biggest question for you the biggest question everybody else has? Because there is no world, just none, where Jack Della Maddalena pulls an Alex Pereira against Magomed Ankalaev in the first fight, where Islam's going to shoot 12 to 15 takedown attempts and not get him down once. He's going to take Jack down in this fight. Is it as simple as, can Jack just get back up? Can he avoid long stretches of control time? Is that the biggest question you have? Or is it something a little deeper than that where, hey, maybe Islam can strike with him because Jack has proven to be so hittable in this fight? So how deep do the underlying questions go for you?
Yeah, this to me on paper has a huge chance to become a striking battle. It's such a weird narrative that this is a striker versus. I shouldn't say it's a weird narrative. It's a pretty I think it's too simple. It's too simple a narrative to put this as striker versus grappler, because I don't know why Islam's striking remains so underrated. I get it. I think that the Poirier fight, I think because some of those rounds were close. They view that as well. Oh, Islam can't strike. I mean, Dustin Poirier is one of the best lightweight strikers of all time. So yeah, maybe he got outstruck in some of those rounds. It doesn't mean Islam's a bad striker. I think the other misconception comes from the first Volkanovski fight. That I think some people view as it was just Islam winning some of the rounds with his wrestling. If you watch, and I've said this so many times, one, it's a more convincing win for Islam than I think people remember. Volkanovski is awesome, and Volkanovski being able to handle survive with Islam on the ground, a much bigger guy, was so cool to watch. It's a great fight. It's one of my favorite fights of this probably this decade. But Islam outstruck Volk. I mean, he outstruck him. I don't know why he doesn't get enough credit for that. He beat Volk on the feet. There were some close exchanges, don't get me wrong, but he beat Volk on the feet. He's a great striker. He absolutely can win a striking battle with Jack Della Maddalena. He's gonna, of course, mix in the wrestling. I mean, that is a tool that aids Makhachev's striking. His striking is so good because his opponent has to be aware of the takedown, has to be aware of just getting a body lock, getting ragdolled. They complement each other. But if it stays on the feet, that is definitely a battle that Makhachev can win. Now, the big question is, for me, is will this be a fight where, let's say Makhachev is outstriking JDM? One thing JDM definitely has that Makhachev doesn't have is he's going to have that potential one-shot KO power. He doesn't rely on that. We've seen JDM again win some, prolonged technical striking battles, but there's also that guy that, needed to reach down deep and just blast Gilbert Burns in the third round. of a fight that he was going to lose. I mean, JDM was losing to Gilbert Burns, if we forget. But he has that power, and he came back and just took Gilbert Burns out. He can do that. Islam cannot do that. I would be stunned. I mean, we have that Volkanovski head kick. Outside of that, I would be stunned if Islam could just uncork some strike and just floor JDM with one shot. Would really, really surprise me. But we know JDM can do it the other way. So will this be a fight where, again, Islam can strictly just out-tech him for 5 rounds? What if JDM scores a knockdown in there somewhere? What if he stuns Islam and has him stunned against the fence, kind of defending against the fence in there? How the judge is going to see that? Will those outweigh moments where, let's say, again, Islam maybe has the advantage in total significant strikes, whatever the graphic they want to show on screen. So if it is, it's going to be really tense if it's a striking battle. And I wonder what JDM's strategy is going to be, whether it'll be to just kind of go again, boxing, just go straight up boxing with him, or, hey, let's make this dirty and I'm going to throw some bombs. And if I catch him, can totally change the complexion of the fight. It's such a good matchup.
One of the things that I took away from rewatching JDM Belal, because when we're watching it the first time, it's either we're working or we're live blogging, or in Jed and I's case, we were doing the watch party. So there's only like so much to focus on when there's like a billion things happening around you. But one of the things I really took away from the Belal rewatch with JDM was he mixed things up a ton with his striking. Like his leg kicks were such a weapon in this fight. They were such a weapon. And even when JDM started kind of slowing down with the leg kicks, and they were accumulating over time, he was ripping to the body like really well. He was throwing kicks, he was throwing punches to the body, like he was mixing things up in a big way and keeping Belal guessing. I don't know if the leg kick will be such a big weapon in this fight because of the threat of the takedown. Because I mean, one moment here in a round, like if he throws a kick that is ill-timed, like he could end up on his back for the rest of the round. And that you don't want to sit there and have to play catch up against a guy like Islam Makhachev, because he's so good at just finding ways to sneak these rounds out. So one other thing I wanted to kind of discuss is, if this fight goes long, because I've seen this narrative as well that, well, Islam tends to slow down the stretch. Go look at the Volk fight. And yes, but Islam was also cutting an absurd amount of weight to make lightweight and defend his belt, and he had to make championship weight every single time. If this fight goes long, AK, if we end up in rounds 4, in rounds 5, who has the advantage there? Do you think JDM, because of what you saw in the Belal fight, maybe he can kind of go downhill from there? Or do you think Islam, because he doesn't have to cut as much weight, it won't affect him as much? Who do you think has the advantage in the championship rounds in that aspect?
Man, I can't see either guy like just breaking like that. Just from a conditioning standpoint, it would really surprise me and disappoint me a little bit. I just can't imagine it. I mean, if people want to talk about Makhachev in the later rounds, listen, I brought up the Poirier fight. That's a fight where, again, people said, oh, he lost a couple. I think he had lost 2 of the rounds on 2 of the judges' scorecards, if I'm not mistaken, and then he was up on the other one, up like 3-1 on the other one. He certainly didn't look bad in the last round of that fight. If anything, I thought he reached down deep for that amazing like sort of ankle pick on Poirier, get him down, get the choke, get to his bread and butter. His grappling is what he does best. That's not something you can do if you have poor conditioning and if you struggle in the 5th round. That is the move of a guy who I think knows how to conserve his energy. Maybe the body language isn't always great. We should also add, if we're going to bring up the Volkanovski example, that first fight was pretty like high pace, and even the grappling, the moments where Makhachev was controlling with grappling, takes a ton of energy. That took a ton of energy, especially since Volkanovski wasn't exactly just like accepting positions. Volkanovski was like fighting the whole time. So I think any cardio comments about Makhachev are a little bit overblown. I expect this to be highly competitive from opening minute until the last minute, assuming, Mike, that are we both thinking this goes to a decision?
I don't know. I think we're going long here. I think if a finish happens, it's coming from Islam. I think the finish comes from Islam. Like he gets a submission, gets some early control time. Maybe he is just a hoss at 170. I mean, he looks like he is filled out to the weight class very, very well, because I know that's a big narrative as well, where, well, maybe he's going to be undersized in this fight. I don't think so, man. Even Dustin Poirier told me, like, dude, he was a huge guy there. He's maybe like a little shorter than your average welterweight at like 5'10" or 5'11", but like build wise and thickness wise, like he fills out to that frame very, very well. The Poirier fight's like a great example. It's a great fight to look back on as well, because what you're going to get from Jack Della Maddalena is essentially the same thing you're going to get from Dustin Poirier, where he's just a dog. Like, he's just going to keep dogging until he just can't be that dog anymore. And, you know, that first fight, their fight at UFC 302, Chris Lee had it tied. It was 48-48 heading into round 5. Sal Diamato, Eric Colon both had it 39-37 for Islam. Scorecards looked a little different. Sal gave the first 3 rounds to Islam. Eric gave round 2 to Dustin Poirier, but gave rounds 1, 3, and 4 to Islam Makhachev. And that was a really exciting fight too. I love the comparison to the Dustin Poirier fight. As far as the fallout of this fight, because we're going to talk about this in the co-main event as well. And we'll probably get to where the division goes with questions and stuff like that. But I want to talk about kind of where these guys sit, like in different levels. Because obviously Islam is approaching like the elite table, right? He's approaching that status with the Johns and the Fedors and stuff like that. Like, he's not quite there yet, but a win here and then maybe a couple of title defenses at welterweight, like you have to let him in. At least like the one guy behind the velvet rope trying to get into the club. Like, he is right there. And obviously getting a second belt and doing it in this style is huge for him. No doubt about it. How are we viewing each guy coming out of this fight with a win? Like, Jack is obviously in a great spot. Maybe, I don't think he's the pound for pound number 1, but you could certainly make a case if he does win. And then with Islam Makhachev, like, we're looking at, clearly the pound for pound number 1. I know I have him there already. Some have Ilia Topuria. Even the UFC's ranking says Ilia Topuria number 1 pound for pound. And I'm not going to argue with you, but I think if Islam wins this fight, there is no argument. He's number 1. Where do we sit? What are the discussions going to be in terms of how great Islam Makhachev's career is going to be if he wins this fight? And then for Jack, what are we looking at as far as Jack is the blank best fighter in the world right now, pound for pound?
Yeah, Islam's such a tough case because his resume has really been affected by circumstance. There should be like a Rafael dos Anjos fight on there. He didn't get that. He ended up fighting, I think that was a Dan Hooker or Bobby Green instead. Obviously he was supposed to fight Arman Tsarukyan. He didn't get that fight. He ended up fighting Renato Moicano, who was scheduled to fight someone else completely on that same card. He was supposed to fight Charles twice. I don't know if a second Charles twice would have mattered that much. Maybe it would have mattered more though than fighting Alexander Volkanovski a second straight time on like 4 days notice or whatever it was. So there's so many little asterisks on Islam's resume, which sucks because it's not his fault. On paper, it looks fantastic. 27-1, 15 straight wins. His lone loss, a knockout to Adriano Martins, which has aged exceedingly well. I'm sure if you run that back 20 times, Islam probably wins the other 20 times. I'm just saying, but we don't know. There is that blemish in his record, and then there's the fact that yes, you could point to just this weird lack of. I don't want to see marquee names because there is Poirier on there, there is Oliveira on there. There is Volkanovski, who was a featherweight competing at lightweight, but hey, that was viewed as a pretty big challenge at the time, and that first fight was extremely competitive. So I think that's like a credit to Makhachev, not something to take away from. But yes, it's weird. It feels like he still has so much more resume building to do for a guy who's 27-1, has 4 UFC championship defenses. You mentioned guys like Fedor, you mentioned guys like John Jones, and you look on the way, like the guys they beat. Fedor on his way to the top, or various, like, it's weird that the whole Pride championship thing, like they do a lot of tournaments, so it's not like Fedor has like 7 title defenses. Didn't really work that way over there. Just a lot of big fights, tournament wins, things like that, and obviously the 30 some fights undefeated streak. And then you look at the names on there, and that's what really matters, right? Same with John Jones. Look at the names he beat when he won the belt. All the future Hall of Famers, right? All the past legends, all the past champions, and Islam doesn't have that, and that's out of his control, but he doesn't have that. So now, yes, like if he adds JDM, let's say he beats more of this current crop of welterweight contenders. Let's say he gets the Usman fight, right? Everyone's saying Kamaru Usman's going to come back, another former UFC champion, and then beats maybe 1 or 2 contending, deserving welterweight contenders. Yeah, then we're talking about a pretty strong resume. But wow, that's putting a lot on this guy who has already done a lot. But I think you're right, Mike. I think a lot of people would agree with you that you can't put him in that top 5, top 6 tier yet, whether it's his fault or not. And as for JDM, Mike, I don't know, man. I ran a poll during the weigh-ins this morning. I asked just where would you put him pound for pound right now, like the current pound for pound list. And some people said number one. I think it was like 30% said number one, 30 something percent was like what one was like in 2 to 3. He'll be in the top 3 for sure. There's like 4 to 6, 7 to 10. So some people put him a little bit lower. I have no idea, Mike. I know I asked on our Slack. I'm not sure. I don't think I would make him number one. I don't think I'd make JDM number one. But right now he's number 8 on our pound for pound list. It would shock me if he doesn't crack the top 5. If he beats Islam, I think it has to crack the top 5, right?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, you're beating, at least in my mind, the number one guy. Like at worst, you have to be 2 or 3. It's just the nature of the beast. So
yeah.
Let's get to the nitty gritty because we have so much to talk about here. AK, it's time to put our proverbial money where our mouths are. Currently, according to our friends at FanDuel, Islam Makhachev, sizable favorite, minus 290. The comeback on Jack Della Maddalena, plus 225. AK, who is leaving Madison Square Garden, the UFC welterweight champion?
Give me the underdog. It sounds so weird to call him the underdog. Again, this is the welterweight champion right now. He beat the guy. This is not some guy who won a vacant belt. He beat the guy to become the guy. He beat a guy who was on a long unbeaten streak. He's on his own crazy ass 18 fight unbeaten streak. He has quality wins over guys like, again, Gilbert Burns is a big one. There's some close calls in there. I get it. You just as we poke holes in Islam's resume on his way up to the lightweight title, you could do the same with Jack Della Maddalena. You could really do that with a lot of fighters these days, kind of the way the UFC works. And I know for a fact, I don't even need to look at the comments. I know I'm taking too much away from the Bilal fight. Islam is not Bilal. I get it. Bilal is not Islam. I know. Just saying a guy has good cardio and wrestles and can strike and that they train together and saying that they're similar is so reductive and silly. But I did see things in that Bilal win that I just wasn't sure that I need to be convinced of with Jack, right? I think we all knew Jack was great. I had a lot of people telling me going into that Bilal fight, they were like, trust me. People smarter than me were telling me JDM's going to win that fight. Very confidently telling me JDM was going to beat Bilal. I wasn't sure. Didn't believe it. Stuck with my guns. Went with the champion. JDM impressed. Proved a lot of people wrong. So I'm going with him. I think as we discussed, it probably goes the distance. And I'm kind of going with what I said before. I think JDM will be able to avoid trouble with the wrestling. He might get taken down. I think he'll avoid, again, taking too much ground and pound, avoid the threat of the submission. And he will get the better of the exchanges on the feet. Maybe not landing more, but landing harder, landing some impactful moments, putting some scares in Islam Makhachev and his team, getting the crowd going. Crowd reaction might go a long way, too, unfortunately, to sort of influence the judges. So every time, JDM lands big, you might get a big pop there. And the judges are going to kind of be like, wow, did he land harder there? That sounded like it landed harder. We know he's the bigger hitter. So all these factors, I think I have JDM winning unanimous, but a close unanimous decision. It might, I can't imagine it being wider than 48-47. If he's able to take 4 rounds from Islam, I'll be blown away. But I think it's 3-2, just enough, and still.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 3-2 either way. We could be taking a little trip to Split City here. This is how close I think this fight is. From a betting perspective, I'm taking a shot on JDM at plus. I got him at plus 240. So for watch party purposes, I'm betting on Jack. Because I think the fight is so close. This is just a value play, and sometimes that works out for me, and sometimes it doesn't. I think my official pick will be Islam by decision, just eking out a round. He finds ways, man. He finds ways to get a takedown or have a moment that changes the course of a round. And because I think these rounds are so quick or so close. Yeah, there's going to be a round or two where JDM lands a big shot down the stretch that inches him to the end of a round. But, Islam could be getting outstruck for 3 minutes and then lands a takedown. And then he could just end the round on top. So I will go Islam via very close decision. But my money is on Jack because the price is so good, in my opinion. There are other people who feel like Islam is just going to run him over. And before I really started diving in, I felt the same way. But I think Jack brings much more of a challenge than the betting odds indicate, and more so than the vast majority of the MMA community seems to think as well. So cannot wait for this fight. This is why we're fans. This is what it's all about. This is why we love this sport, is fights like this, where we could talk about it and it's just so close, and there's so many different intangibles, and one mistake can change everything. This is one of those fights. I cannot wait for it. But I gotta say, as excited as I am for this fight, I think I'm more excited for the co-main event. I'm so pumped for Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili, AK. Love this fight so much. And this is another one of those fights where, people are a little bit torn, but those who are confident in it are like super confident in it. I could not love a fight more than this. Is just two of the all-time greats getting after it. Valentina is still, because of her greatness, finding ways to win fights. Zhang Weili seems to be at the peak of her powers right now, even though she is a little bit older, but she has less mileage on her than Valentina Shevchenko does. God, I love this fight. It's not getting the attention it deserves, but how could it, with Islam Makhachev being like the star of the show? That press conference, those clips that I saw were absolutely insane of how popular he was, and JDM getting booed. But man, Shevchenko Zhang Weili scratches me right where I at, JK. How excited are you for this fight?
I love it, man. This is skill wise. This is the best fight in women's MMA history. You've never seen, and it'll be a long time again too. You will see probably two women this well-rounded, this accomplished in just peak physical shape. I know we talked about both of them maybe being a little bit older, maybe slightly like past their prime, just because of all the wear and tear that they have. But I mean, okay, let's say they're at 85% of their primes. That's still better than 95% of any woman to ever compete at 125 and 150 pounds. Like, they're just phenomenal athletes, in addition to being so well-rounded, great grapplers, great strikers. I was saying earlier on the weigh-in show, I think in most of the major categories, you would give both fighters an A+. Like, it's grappling A+, striking A+. It's almost impossible to separate them. And I think the odds are saying as much. I think Valentina in most places is like the slightest of favorites, but you may as well call this a pick 'em. And I just can't blame anyone who doesn't want to make a call on this, who can't decide. I have sort of made up my mind, and like, I'm just sort of sitting with that call. Like, even after doing more research and on both fighters, I'm kind of just sticking with what I initially thought, just because, like I said, it's impossible to really confidently sway in either direction. So I said, just stand pat here. But yeah, this fight is great. I'm probably getting caught up in the moment. I do feel like whoever wins this has a really strong case to be considered the greatest women fighter in MMA history. Amanda Nunes, of course, unbelievable. She left with she left the game on top, with all of us thinking, I mean, it's gonna be tough to top her. Valentina was close, but we're like, what would they have to do? And then you look at a fight like this, you're like, oh, this is the kind of fight you would have to do, is face one of the other pound for pound great women of your era. Again, Amanda fighting at 135 didn't really have that option. And she did fight Val twice, right? It was a while ago. Second fight, extremely close. If you want to score for Val, totally understand. But outside of that, listen, it's hard for Amanda to have fought the kind of competition that Val and Weili have. And it's not like Val and Weili is also all killers. We could pick apart their resume as well. So it's close. It's a 3-woman race right now for sure. All 3 women are phenomenal. And look, Amanda's coming back. She might stake her claim soon. She comes back, beats Kayla Harrison. We'll talk about her. Undisputed. Greatest of all time again. But I'd be very happy after Saturday if people want to entertain the winner of the co-main event is the greatest women's fighter of all time. I think it's a fun conversation to have, man. I'm not saying it's undisputed. I'm not saying it's ironclad. Very fun conversation to have, though, depending how Saturday goes.
I love this fight so much. I really, really do. The timing is perfect. This is one of those things, like, I kind of wish they pulled the trigger on it a little bit earlier, because I know Zhang wanted it. That's why she was at the Spear when Valentina fought Alexa Grasso again. In her eyes, they were setting her up to fight the winner. And, both have fought since then, and Valentina beat Manon Fiorot, which is super impressive to me, because one of the biggest questions heading into that fight was, like, can she out physical someone like Manon Fiorot at this point in her career? And she did. And it was a competitive fight, but it was just sort of a, vet lesson type of performance where, hey, you're good and you're very strong and very physical, but I've been doing this thing for a really long time and doing it at a very high level. So even though Valentina Shevchenko is not, Pedro Martinez of 1999, she became Pedro Martinez of like 2004, where the changeup was working and painting corners and just, throwing the off-speed pitches at the right time, just finding ways to get the job done. And Zhang is just that. That win against Tatiana Suarez was just so damn impressive. And like, I felt very confidently that Zhang would win. I definitely didn't see that coming, where she just would dust her up like that. It was unbelievable. And this fight in particular, like, I'm not really concerned about as I mentioned, Islam moving up to 170. I don't think like the size difference and the power difference is going to change like a ton. I don't think there's like a massive difference outside of can he absorb a big shot from JDM, like a full size welterweight. This fight, I am kind of curious how Zhang looks at 125. You were part of the weigh-in stream. You saw her step on the scale. How did she look up there? Did she look like, because I know when Rose fought Manon and she moved up, like, yeah, you could tell she looked up a little, she put on a little size, but she still looked like a strawweight moving up to flyweight. What did you see when Zhang hit the scale this morning?
Well, again, yeah, kind of like you mentioned with Rose. I think there was a noticeable, obviously, there's a noticeable change. We're talking about a 10-pound difference. She still looked fantastic. She still looked fantastic, but did look like she's carrying around a little bit of like, just again, a little bit of extra weight. Not necessarily all muscle, and I think that's fine. I wouldn't be super concerned about it. As everyone likes to mention, she is clearly pound for pound one of the strongest women in martial arts right now. Everyone loves to bring up the carrying Francis Ngannou clip, but this is functional strength too. The Tatiana Suarez. You guys want to talk about example of her strength? What's the Tatiana Suarez fight? That is that is Zhang Weili's just power in action, just muscle, explosive muscle, twitch muscle, just incredible stuff from an athleticism standpoint. And of course, you add in her incredible skill set. It was super stuff. So yeah, so body wise, like again, I'm not. That's not really giving me much of a gauge as far as like, well, how is that going to affect her performance wise? I think 125 is going to be really comfortable for her. I still think, obviously, I would have liked to have seen her stay at 115, but this fight had to happen. I think later we're going to have to talk about the issue of, is she going to stick around if she wins? Same with Islam. I feel like it's a dual conversation, and it might be different answers for both fighters, but it certainly needs to be discussed. But yeah, strength wise, it won't be an issue. Now, can she overpower Valentina is the question, because I do think Valentina is kind of underrated strength wise. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because I think people may view her as being like so technical, and like you said, maybe doesn't have her fastball anymore. But I pound for pound would put her among the stronger women in MMA. So that'll be interesting to see if Zhang kind of try to impose her will on her. And I don't know. I think early on it'll be even, but as the fight goes on, I don't know. Will Zhang have a little more left in the tank? Again, similar questions to what we have with JDM and Islam. But just, God, this is super intriguing. And man, just talking about this is going to be juiced up, man. I've been juiced up all week, and now I'm ready for, like, we're so close, Mike. So close to these fights actually happening.
We are so close, AK. We are so close. Let's make our official prediction for this fight. Right now, very close. A little bit more money has come in on Valentina Shevchenko as the week has progressed. Shevchenko is the -140 favorite. The comeback on Zhang Weili +114. What is the official Alexander Kaylee prediction for this fight?
Mike, I don't think we're going to hear and new at all on Saturday. I think Valentina will also retain. I'm going with the champions. The boring pick. I do this all the time. I'm very often wrong. I've leaned towards champions probably at least 2/3, 3/4 of the time. And again, as we've seen in the last few years, there's a lot of fluctuation at the top. So always going with champions is not any sort of guaranteed strategy. I guess it depends on the division. There's some people more reliable than others. But in general, just saying, oh, champ's going to retain because the champ is pretty dumb. But in this case, like I said, they match up pretty evenly. I think size will matter a bit. Measurements, like, it's not crazy. I think Valentina has very little, a couple of inches of reach, an inch of height. Functionally, it might not make much of a difference. But I do think I do think she is better. Here's a sort of a nice way of putting it. I don't love this fight from an action standpoint. Let me put it that way. As much as I'm hyping it up, I do not expect this to be a back and forth, like, big swings of action. There's going to be some rounds in there where the women are feinting and sort of measuring each other up, sizing each other up, uneventful grappling against the fence. This is going to happen, okay? Because they're so evenly matched, because they are good fighters, not because they're bad. We've seen bad fights like that. This is a matter of they're so neither woman can afford to make a mistake, and the first one who does is going to just cost them a round. And I think Valentina is slightly better at winning fights like that. Make of that what you will, guys. As maybe it's a backhanded compliment. I think Valentina is better at winning low volume rounds. That was not the case in the second Amanda Nunes fight. I get it, though some people would argue she did win that fight. But like Mike said, I think she's just gotten better with age, better with years. And I think she knows how to do enough to kind of scrape out those close rounds. And I bet at least 3 of these rounds are going to be close, just like coin tosses. So you got to know how to win those. You got to know how to take those. I think that's where Valentina has the edge. So I'm predicting a good fight, a very enjoyable fight. Not like, I don't think it'll be an all-timer, but from a storyline standpoint, from a drama standpoint, we will be talking about this one for a long time, and we'll be talking about how Valentina cemented herself as maybe the greatest women's fighter of all time.
I think you feel like most people do, where it's just going to be such a close fight. It's 50-50, and Valentina might just chip away and win rounds. This might be the hottest take of the day, but I'm just going to come out and say it.
Do it.
I think Zhang Weili is going to run over Valentina Shevchenko. I don't like. I just have this feeling that she is just going to clobber her, and she's gonna finish her. Like, I feel like she can match her physicality. I do have some concern, and it was like, the only concern I have is, like, to me, if Valentina wins this fight, it is going to be boring. Like, it's going to be not Hamzat DDP boring, because I do think Valentina will, like, do more offensively in those positions. But in my opinion, like, if Valentina wins this fight, like, she's just going to take her down and get 22 minutes of control time. It's going to be sort of one of these fights, but I feel like Zhang can hit her with the big shot. I think she could get there, and then physically, I think she can hang with Valentina, maybe even be like the stronger, more physical fighter, despite Valentina like being a little bit taller and competing at bigger weight classes throughout her career. Zhang also cuts a ton of weight, and Zhang Weili TKO round 2.
Wow. Is she the best fighter of all time if she does that second round finish of Valentina? Let me help your case if you want to make that case, because you could argue Zhang's resume is stronger than that of Amanda Nunes. You could very, because here's Zhang's wins in the UFC, just her notable wins. Jessica Andrade, former champion. 2 wins over JJ, obviously former champion. Carla Esparza dominated her, former two-time champion. Amanda Lemos, perennial top 10 contender. Yan Xiaonan, perennial top 10 contender. Top 5, really. Yan Xiaonan's been top 5 in the division for a long time. Tatiana Suarez, undefeated, and I think was favored to beat Zhang before just getting. Oh no, I think she closes the underdog. That's a strong resume. That's frankly, a stronger resume than I think Valentina and Amanda, if we're being honest. But then I guess you have to take into account also the 2 Rose losses, which muddy the waters. But so would you say Zhang is number 1 if second round finish of Valentina? No, Amanda still.
Okay. The cyborg win is just so big.
Oh, so good.
Like, it just looms so huge on this, and like, I know
that's big.
I know moving forward, like, that win hasn't aged terrifically well, and it's not Chris's fault. She's just in a division that doesn't exist, really, and she's just like beating super low level fighters. Although the Lourdes Pacheco win is like a super good win for her. I still think it's Nunes, but it's close, man. There's certainly a discussion to be had, but I love this fight so much, man. Like, even though I think Zhang like could go out there and just run her over, I'll tell you which fights like give me a little bit of pause. And obviously it wasn't the third fight, but the Grasso fights are like a huge catalyst of why I'm going this way. The first 2.
So for me, I look at those as you know me, I like when fighters kind of have to face adversity, and sort of like that to me is a credit to Valentina that she kind of came back from that first loss and then arguably won the second fight, though again she made that screw up again. It almost cost herself the entire fight, and then dominated the third fight in boring fashion. So that to me is actually like a plus for Val. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
I mean, only because like Grasso buzzed her a couple of times.
Yes, yeah.
And like, if Grasso's buzzing her, Zhang's gonna buzz her.
Sure.
So I can't wait, man. I can't wait. I want to see like what the striking exchange is gonna look like. I want to see who's quicker. I want to see who has a little more impact. This is just such good timing for this fight. Like, again, I wish it was like 2 years ago or even like 10 months ago, but man, it's so good. And like, the Rose fights are like, yeah, they're there, right? Like, she got caught in the first fight, no doubt about it. And then they fought again.
It was close.
And I thought Zhang won the second fight. I mean, it wasn't like a robbery or anything like that, but you could see like Zhang is able to like, I don't know, her game has just changed to such a degree where like no one thought she was going to be able to do to just dummy Tatiana like that. Like no one saw that coming. Like she would just go in there and just run her over. And Tatiana's like an exceptional grappler in MMA and a very physical specimen who has fought at 25 herself and bullied 25ers. Tatiana's great, man. But Zhang kind of like ruined who Tatiana was as a fighter, as we saw in the Amanda Lemos fight. So I can't wait for it. It's a terrific fight. The rest is like this main card friggin' rocks. Like what else can you say? Sean Brady, Michael Morales, great fight. Leon Edwards, Carlos Praches. We got Beneil Dariush versus Benoit Saint-Denis. AK, you're not mad at Beneil Dariush, but something tells you might be disappointed in the man.
I was confused. I mean, the man has missed weight before, so this is his second official weight miss in the UFC. Just for a veteran, and this is his 25th UFC appearance. You think he'd be like above these kinds of issues? He's a big lightweight. It's fine. I understand. It's probably never been an easy cut for him, but yeah, what a weird little blip. It's fine. 20%. I think I was trying to do the math in the weigh-in show. I'm like, I don't know how much money you think he's making. He's been around for a while. Last disclosed payday I could find for Bilal was 70 to show. I have to think he's at least somewhat up from there, but 20% of whatever Bilal's making was like a nice 16 to 20 G's probably for Benoit Saint-Denis. So he paid the price. Let's move on. It is a great choice for main card opener. Like you said, Mike, I'm not going to hold it against Beneil too much. I always sympathize with the fighter. So hopefully Beneil's okay. It wasn't some sort of fight week issue, whether personal or physical or mental or whatever. And we just get a great fight on Saturday. I would hate to see it fall off the card. I hope it's nothing that will affect the fight actually happening.
Yeah. As far as like how I view that fight, by the way, I have a bet on Zhang Weili, no surprise, plus 114. The bet I have on Dariush versus BSD is it's like one of those fun bets you can do on FanDuel where it's like an either or. And it's a little risky because it needs to sort of happen this exact way or it doesn't matter. Dariush by points or BSD by KO TKO is minus 120. So if like one of those two things happen, I win and it's minus money. So apparently the sharps believe that is the case. Leon Edwards, Carlos Praches, big fight. I think most people, when we're looking at the division and the future of this division, are looking at Sean Brady and Michael Morales, which to me is like, it's such a surprising fight that's happening right now, especially after what Sean Brady did to Leon Edwards. Like any other world, any other company, he's getting a title shot, but we're also in like the most confusing time of welterweight because Shavkat is technically like still the number one contender in a lot of people's eyes because he had a title shot and it wasn't his fault. He didn't fight for the belt that night. Still fought, beat Ian Machado Gary, but the problem, he's been out for a year. Like we're approaching a year since that fight. We have no idea what's happening with this man. Bilal has already lost the belt. We're seeing Brady, we're seeing Gary, we're seeing Morales, we're seeing all these guys make moves. Usman came back and beat Joaquin Buckley to stop that surge, and welterweight is just in such a fascinating place right now. So I'll take Leon Praches out of this conversation because I don't think the winner of this fight can get a title fight. Even if Praches just pulls a Conor McGregor on Jose Aldo, I still think he just lost to Gary, so it's like hard to just anoint him as the next guy. But Sean Brady, Michael Morales, what a fight, man. Your thoughts on this one, because Brady's looked so good. He's taking, at least in the rankings, like a pretty significant step back, and he's taking a big risk here fighting a guy like Michael Morales.
Yeah, I'm all in on Michael Morales. You guys know, like, undefeated guy. I just think he's going to be welterweight champion someday. Is that time soon? Oof. Sean Brady's really peaking. I do have questions about Morales' wrestling. It's been a big storyline this week that, Morales has wrestling in his background. But there is a difference between, as we all know, guys, like, having wrestling in your background and MMA wrestling. And I think Sean Brady is one of the best MMA wrestlers at 170 right now. If you guys remember, Brady got a lot of comparisons to GSP once upon a time when he was coming up. And you could kind of see it back then. I think he's evolved more into like his own guy now. But one thing that he has always had in common with the great GSP is, like I said, MMA wrestling. Again, it's not the same as collegiate wrestling, amateur wrestling, Greco-Roman. It's being able to, actually functionally use it in a fight. When we talk about Islam Makhachev, his great wrestling, we are talking about he has phenomenal MMA wrestling. Same with Khabib, right? I mean, these guys could probably do well in other forms of wrestling, but we're talking about a UFC fight, we only care about one thing: can you implement it? John Fitch was one of the best examples too, right? John Fitch was a average collegiate wrestler. Chael Sonnen as well was not a great collegiate wrestler, but then you had an MMA wrestle. And that's something Sean Brady has down. So even though like I really want to see, like, I really think Morales has star power. I really think he could be champion someday. A lot of champions lose before they eventually make it to the top. And that might be what happens here, because I think Sean Brady, good on him for taking a really tough fight that he has, again, very little to gain from other than holding on to his spot in the top 5. That's really what he's doing. He's defending a top 5 spot. If he puts on an impressive performance, let's say he dominates Morales, I hope that the UFC at least considers him, puts him on the short list. I know there's people ahead of him. We keep talking about Usman. If Makhachev wins, I mean, he should fight. If JDM retains, I would like to see Sean Brady get that shot. I don't know what they're going to do. Like we said, if Ian Machado Gary beats Bilal next week, right, in Qatar, they might want to give IMG that shot. But I think Brady has a lot to lose, but I think he has a little to gain. I do think he has a little to gain. It would be hard to see him jump over Ian Machado Gary if IMG beats Bilal. But there's a good chance Ian Machado Gary doesn't beat Bilal. And in that case, they're not giving Bilal an immediate rematch with JDM. He's not fighting Makhachev. I think Sean Brady gets a good position. There's a path for Sean Brady to fight for the title in 2026. It's a very narrow path. It's a very small window, whatever visual you want to use. It's there. But he has to really, I think, dominate Morales on Saturday. It's a great matchup. And I'm with you, Mike. Something I thought we'd see in the future, but it kind of makes sense to do it now. I think just the way the division's shaken out, I understand why they had to make it now.
Yeah, it's one of those situations, like you and I talk about this all the time, like on to the next one on other shows, where you see this guy who's young and has this incredibly high ceiling and he's on a roll, but he's like 26 or 27 and he's not in his prime yet, but it's a guy that people point at as, oh, he's going to fight for the belt or he could be a world champion. And we always say, like, yeah, why don't you just fight him now? Like, don't wait till he's 30 and he's at the peak of his powers. Fight him now. And Sean Brady's like, all right, I'll just fight him now. And I love what he had to say at me. I thought Sean Brady's media day was incredible. I think he's just so realistic about everything. And, you know, normally I love, like, I do a thing called mic check. Like, I want people to get on the mic and start calling people out. Like, I love that stuff. It, like, makes my job easier. But I kind of like the way Sean's looking at things right now. He hates that Usman is in this conversation, much like I hate that Usman's in this conversation right now, when he probably needs to get another win. I'm, like, on the same page. We are so simpatico with all that. And he's just like, yeah, man, like, yeah, closed mouths don't get fed, but look at this division right now. Like, I'm just going to keep doing what I have to do to win. Like, it's just a weird, it's just weird. Like, all these guys are putting in the work and getting these great wins. And then they're already watching Islam Makhachev jump up a division to jump over them. And I think a lot of them are on the same page. Like, yeah, this dude's the best fighter in the world. Like, we're going to step aside and let it happen. Like, respect to Islam. And then to have to sit back and watch Usman jump over him too. Like, I would be livid if I was these guys, like, absolutely livid. But I think he has a huge opportunity here. If he goes out there and beats Morales and finishes him, I think he's the guy, like, no matter who wins. And I love the fact, I mean, he's not going to get, look, I've said this many times. I've been saying this since Islam, like, before Islam made the decision to move up. Like, if Islam wins the welterweight belt, he's going to fight Usman. Like, his manager is going to set that all up. I was like, Usman's going to do a whole bunch of media. That fight week, he doesn't do any media, but that fight week, he's going to do a bunch. And he's everywhere doing interviews. Dana White's already calling him the greatest welterweight of all time, which is just such a silly thing to say. And again, when I say these things about Usman, I'm not saying them because I don't respect what he has accomplished. He's the second best welterweight of all time in a historically stacked division. Like, being the second greatest welterweight of all time is unbelievable. Like, unbelievable. George St. Pierre, many people's, like, all-time GOATs, is ahead of him. Like, the one guy who has ever fought in your division that's ranked higher than you is George St. Pierre. That's friggin' awesome. That's unbelievable. But one win in 4 years and beating Joaquin Buckley, who, it's a fine win, it just shouldn't get you a title shot over these guys who have been winning fights for 4 years consistently. So, yeah, I'll get off the high horse here. I think if Brady wins, he has to be the guy. I think if JDM wins, JDM Brady would be super interesting. And I think it helps Sean Brady too that Habib, Javier Mendez, even Islam Makhachev himself are saying, yeah, I want to fight Usman because it's the biggest name, but Sean Brady would be a tough ass fight. Like they're picking his name like specifically as a tough fight. Who are you picking in that fight, by the way? Sean Brady or Michael Morales? And then we'll get to the peeps.
Yeah, I mean, I think I alluded, kind of gave it away. I think I'm going Sean Brady. I think I'm going Sean. My heart wants to pick Michael Morales because, like I said, he will be UFC champion someday. I think he has the skills for it. But I love what you said, Mike. Like, you know, always with the get him before they hit their peak. He's not peaking yet, right? Michael Morales not his peak yet. Get him before that. So I think the wrestling is just going to get a little bit too much. I don't think he's going to be able to get his striking game off, and his striking is so fun to watch. I think he'll have moments, right? Like I think he will be able, like I think he'll have some wrestling defense. But like I said, that's the beauty of a great MMA wrestler is, okay, maybe you stop their first entry, but then they adapt, they switch, they get you to the fence, they grind you, they wear you down, and then at some point, those takedowns start coming more often. They start wearing you down, and you end up getting a decision or maybe a late finish in late round 2 or early round 3. So yeah, I'm going Brady for now. Love both fighters. Would love to see them both fight for a title someday. I hope that happens. I hope this does not rule either guy out, but it is Brady's time.
I'm picking Brady too. I've decided how yet. I mean, look, Morales could just run him over in the first round. Like it's possible. He is just such a monster. His striking is so good. He's so athletic. That power is real. So Brady, and I will say, like Brady's striking, like when he came into the UFC, I was just like, that might be like a little bit of a problem. But he's gotten better. Like his striking is way better. Even defensively, it's way better. It's not. He's not going to like win a kickboxing match with Michael Morales. So do not don't twist my words around. But Brady is such a, Jed talks about like having MMA superpowers. Sean Brady has a superpower. It is the MMA wrestling, but he's one of those guys like Habib and like others where like when you talked about Habib on the rise up to the belt, it was always, yeah, man, he's a little limited on the feet, but if he gets a hold of you and locks his hands together, you're going down. Nothing in the world is going to stop that from happening. And I view Sean Brady in his MMA grappling and wrestling the same way. If he wraps his arms around Michael Morales, he's going down. I don't care how much he's worked on his defensive wrestling. Sean Brady might be pound for pound the strongest guy in the UFC. Like he's just a hoss. He's such a beast. So I cannot wait for that fight. I think the stakes are incredibly high for that one. It's just everything about this card just absolutely friggin' slaps. I'm so pumped. Rest of the card before we get to the peeps, we also have. Let me just pull up the updated lineup here, which I have in front of me right now. Featured prelim, we got Bo Nickel versus Hidalgo Vieira. Bo Nickel seems like a different cat this week. Very humble. Just a more reflective guy. I've actually been kind of impressed with Bo Nickel this week. I can't lie. I really can. I loved his Anything But Fighting with Jose Youngs. You got to see like kind of a different side of him. It's an interesting matchup. Let's see how he bounces back from the RDR fight. Roman Kopylov, Gregory Rodriguez. There's no way that fight stinks. Big one between Erin Blanchfield and Tracy Cortez. Of course, Tracy was the last fighter on the scale. She looked a little rough up there, AK. But it's what was
last
that?
one up? Oh, she was the last one up. I mean, there was a lot of. She made it. No cutting of hair, no holding hair triumphantly on the scale. She made it, but it's always been hard for her to make it. I think as long as she makes it, I would never be concerned about like, how much is it going to affect her on fight night? Like as when she makes it, it's good. She's had some misses, and that's caused all kinds of other problems. But when she makes it, she's good. So not overly concerned. But she was. There was some drama there.
Gerald Mearshart, Kyle Dawkins is on this card, and I like this matchmaking because that fight's gonna be over in like 7 minutes or less. One way or the other. Yeah. Like guaranteed that fight is gonna be over in 7 minutes or less. Mm-hmm. Great featherweight fight between Chepe Mariscal and Pat Sabatini. I'm just waiting for Chepe to kind of like get that Steve Garcia opportunity where he gets to step up.
Seriously.
What else does this man have to do?
Can we get him a top 15 guy? What's going on?
Pat Sabatini's looked really good too, so I really like that fight. Angela Hill against Fatima Klein. Interesting matchup.
The future versus one of our great strawweight all-timers. Like that's I know Fatima's a huge favorite going to this. That's a monster step up in competition. I think Angela, and I don't understand because Angela has done this many times where she has fought people who are considerably younger and way less experienced and won. So the line is a little surprising to me, but I know people are so high on Fatima Klein. I get it. Everyone talks about her as a future champion. So, you got to go through the Angela Hills of the world to do that. But so early in her career, I don't know, man.
I don't know. I actually think, honestly, and I love Angela Hill, I think minus 550, there's value on that for Fatima Klein.
I'm not on this at all. I do not listen to my best friend. That's a huge number. Like, that's a huge number.
My biggest bet of the night is on Zhang Weili, because it's just like what my gut's telling me. And I usually don't bet on the prelim fights ever, unless like I just see something that I like, especially on pay-per-views. I have Fatima Klein by decision at minus 180, and I feel real good about that.
Sir, you are about to take a very unpleasant trip to Splitty City. I'm just telling you right now. Splitty City is really rough this time of year. It's the weather's bad. It's a bad drive up there. There's not a lot going on in Splitty City. I don't think that's where you want to go tonight. It's not a good place to go.
I mean, look, I think we're gonna feel good. I think Angela will show some pep. She'll battle. She won't get finished, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a tough one for her.
I don't know. When's the last time she was like? Maybe I'm not remembering the Lucinda fight, or I don't know the Ricci. When's the last time like Angela was just like dominated though?
I don't think she's gonna get like. I think she's gonna lose 30-27, but it's not gonna be like she does nothing. It's not gonna be one of those fights, but it's gonna be like, all right, Fatima clearly won all 3 rounds. So I love Angela Hill so much. Like, she's a great personality. She's hilarious on social media. And, she's competitive with like everybody she fights. But she's 40, man. I can't ignore that. I can't ignore it. Even with all the skill and the veteran savvy, so to speak. If I'm Angela Hill, I'm cheating. Like,
yes,
just grab the fence.
Yes.
Just get after it in that sense. It'll be really fun. Yeah, Klein's a big favorite. And then we have the biggest favorite on the card is Bisengur Surshakayev, otherwise known as Jimmy Suss. He is approaching minus 1100 as a favorite. We know why this fight is on this card. It is just going to be an absolute run over by Jimmy Suss. And unfortunately, a little bit of disappointment we found out yesterday. One of the most intriguing fights on this entire card. And I'm talking about some of the main card fights too, but to me, this was the most interesting prelim by a mile. And I say that not because the rest of the prelims stink. It's because a lot of the prelims are really good. This one just really stood out to me. Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cody Haddon was an excellent fight on paper. Like, so good. And the chance for Malcolm Wellmaker to really answer some questions. Like, are we going to strap the rockets to this guy? Because if he goes out there and just nukes Cody Haddon, you strap the rockets to this man. Like, you immediately throw him into a top 10 fight. Like, he ain't getting any younger. Like, just go with him. Unfortunately, Cody Haddon, I believe, broke his foot. I believe that's what Malcolm said in his update, so to speak. And now Ethan Ewing is stepping in on short notice to take this fight. I believe he's the A1 Combat Bantamweight champion on a nice little run. I believe he's won 8 in a row. He is a finisher. But yeah, I think we do have, I think I did see betting odds for this. I actually thought it was going to be much higher than what it is.
They're not on FanDuel?
Not yet.
Okay.
They're on other sites. Malcolm Wellmaker minus 470 right now. I actually thought it was going to be higher than that. But yeah, at least Malcolm's fighting, so that's good. But unfortunately, like, he's probably just going to knock him out in the first round, and we're just going to be like, okay, we learned nothing here.
Quick turnaround. Come back in December. We got three.
No.
What? No.
Nobody wants that, because then Jed gets more fantasy points.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misspoke.
No one
I misspoke.
wants to see that.
No. Don't do that.
All right, let's go to the peeps. Of course, the super chats get top billing. So, Dustin Kilbert, any news on D-Rod? Federal prison talk legit or no?
I'm lost on this one, Mike. What's going on with you?
I'm not lost, but I've heard things, but like I'm not comfortable like confirming or denying.
Okay.
or not confirmed. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. You know what I mean? Like all I hear is like rumblings of things, but like I hear rumblings of shit all the time. It doesn't mean it's true, or I honestly have no idea. So I will not comment.
Way to put us on the spot, Dustin Kilburn, trying to get us sued. Way to go.
I will look into it. Does Terrence, back-to-backs from Terrence. Does Val not deserve to go for a 35 belt with a win?
Sure. Of course she deserves it. She's deserved to go for it for years. I just don't think she cares. I honestly don't think she cares. If Amanda comes back and like stomps Kayla Harrison and says, I'm going to stick, and I don't know if she would stick around. I imagine if she stomped Kayla, she'd just retire again. If she decided to stick around, that would certainly, if I'm Valentina's team, that'd be a fight I'd be interested in. I guess if you're also asking why doesn't she ever just go up there and be like, fight for a vacant title? I just don't think she's interested. I think this Zhang fight is really the legacy fight she's viewing. And after this, she'll stick around. I think she'll just stick around 25 because there are challenges at 25. It would be tempting to see her go up there 135 because, Juliana Pena was champ up there, for God's sakes. And I guarantee Valentina would go up there and beat her again. If 125, 135 wouldn't make a difference. Valentina would beat her again. I just don't know. I don't know how interested she is. If it's, let's say Kayla beats Amanda, would Valentina want to go and fight Kayla? I don't know. Mike, you think she'd be interested in that? I just think she doesn't care about the 135 belt, as most people don't, unfortunately.
Nah, I don't know. Maybe if like Nunes beats Kayla, she might want that fight.
Legacy, right?
I don't know. Maybe there's a challenge there. Maybe Valentina thinks she could beat her. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be a surprise to me if she decided to make that move at this stage of her career. I just don't think she cares.
Yeah. Junkie saying Amosov to UFC, does he become champ?
No.
No, he doesn't. Okay. I will say,
was that harsh? Was that too harsh?
As the show was going on, I did like literally like 5 minutes ago confirm that this is true. It's not like 100% signed, sealed, and delivered. Like pen has not like hit paper or anything, but it's happening.
Yeah.
Amosov's going to be a UFC fighter.
It's overdue. Yes, I'm not saying no to the report. I'm saying he's not going to become UFC champion. I like Amosov so much. He could have fought in the UFC. Like he is clearly a UFC level fighter. He's clearly a top 15. Like I put him in there at almost anyone in the top 15. I think he gives a competitive fight. Do I think he has like that extra level to actually become the champion? Boy, I don't know. It is guys, listen, I'm the last person that's going to give you the, UFC competition is like leagues better than everyone else, because that's not necessarily true. If you look at who Amosov was beating in Bellator, it's not like he's knocking off a bunch of top 20 guys. He beat Storley twice. Logan Storley, very tough guy, not a top 20 welterweight.
Fighter.
Douglas Lima, who he got the belt from, but I think by the time he fought Douglas Lima, I don't know.
I was at that fight.
Yeah.
It was like I was covering that fight for us, I believe. I thought it was like incredibly impressive what Amosov did that night.
Sure.
Like it was sort of and Lima was like red hot at the time.
He was still good, yes. We had not removed. He had not like plummeted out of the ranking. Right. Okay. This is fair. Fair.
I've never seen a fighter more frustrated in a fist fight than Douglas Lima was that night.
Yeah.
He was just like, "What? I can't do anything to this guy."
Yeah. The other thing working against Amosov is he does not have a style that the matchmakers are going to love. So Amosov's, even though he has the name of like being a former Bellator champion, he has to win he has to go at least 4-0 to start his UFC career to get a title shot. They're not going to. They have no interest in fast tracking Yaroslav Amosov to a title shot. I will tell you that right now, because they're not. This is 170. They're not short on options at 170. So it's a long road for him. That's the other part. It's a long road. I just don't see it happening. But is he a guy who is going to be ranked in the UFC? Of course. He's a very, very good wrestler, excellent wrestler, just smothers people. That classic neutralizing style. But I would be very surprised if he fights for a UFC title.
Yeah, kind of with you there. I'm curious. Like, there are some like good names I would match him up with, like right out the gate. But do you just feed him to? Do we give him like Do we give him like Magny, like right off the bat?
I guess
somebody like that.
That's like, a rumor I'm hearing, so I don't know.
Like, what's the? Let me see. Let me kind of look at what's happening right now. Magny would be like a great litmus test.
Mm-hmm.
Vicente Luque, I wouldn't hate that.
That'd be a weird fight. Gosh, that'd be weird. I don't know.
All right, that's Michael Chiesa. I like that. Actually,
that's
Michael
perfect.
Chiesa might actually be like the correct answer. Like, do MSF Chiesa.
Colby Covington. Maybe the least interesting fight in of 2026.
Let's do Gabriel Bonfim versus
wow, that'd be so funny.
I would really like that fight.
He's a weird guy. He's a weird guy to book.
Neck of the woods.
Amosov is a very tough guy to book.
Chris Curtis would be really interesting. Like,
oh, I think Chris Curtis smokes him.
What? Smokes him?
I do.
All right.
I don't think he can. I
smokes him.
I've almost never seen Chris Curtis just lose by being smothered.
All right.
That's not how the
action. He is very difficult to take down.
He's and hold down. Fight. Yeah, I actually think he would smoke Amosov.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, good addition. I'm glad he's there.
Yeah, he deserves. He should have been there a long time ago. Yeah, very good fighter.
Yeah. RS40. I hate that Sean and Michael are fighting since I admire both of them. Is Sean the guy with most pressure to win? I'm Michael winning by TKO round 3. It's a great question.
Most pressure. Yeah, we talked about what happens. Yeah, we talked about what he gained.
I feel like Morales can lose and it's fine.
Yeah,
like it's a short term stop, but again, he's so young and so talented. He's got a very strong media fan base. Like, if you were watching like the live stream of the UFC 322 media day, boy, that was, if you watch the whole thing start to finish, you deserve hazard pay for that. But the Michael Morales scrum was like, I felt like I was watching Michael Morales talk to the media for 2.5 hours. It was just he's such a big star in Ecuador. Like they came out in droves for him, which is good to see. But a loss here like doesn't hurt him that bad. Like, it's just all right, little hiccup. But Sean Brady loses his fight. I think he might have the most to lose outside of the title fights. I think you can make a strong case Sean Brady has the most to lose on this entire card.
Not Leon, or Leon's never getting a title fight anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Leon,
it doesn't matter. No consequences.
Unless Leon goes to 205, he ain't fighting for the belt again.
Damn.
I'm just kidding, but yeah, Leon is so far out of this. It's not even funny. Like, I actually think Leon has a really good chance of beating Carlos Praxis.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, I think if he just shows up and is not like mentally fried, I think he could win. I'm not picking him to win, but I think he can.
Plus money, Mike. Plus money. Leon at plus. No, that didn't tempt you.
I bet on Praxis. I bet he's such a dog, man. Until I see Leon like mentally in it and not broken, because I feel like Bilal just kind of shattered him, and then Brady just mauled him. Like, I don't know, like, it's so hard to come back from that. Like, you look at Leon and you look at like Roman Dolidze after what Fluffy did. Like, how do you even get back in there and try to like forget that? So I just have too many questions about Leon to make that pick. Leon's going to fight Jorge Masvidal next, no matter what. Like, unless the UFC just does not care about that fight. But yeah, I think Brady like is in a must-win situation. Unfortunately, I think his title hopes are over if he loses this fight.
Damn.
It's just too much happening right now. Like, he's so far, a loss here for him puts him so far back. It's not even funny, even with the Leon win.
He turns 33 next week. Like, he's not old. He's in his prime still, but I see what you're saying. Like, that's at least, it knocks him back. That's at least one more year where he's not fighting for the title. So then we're talking about 2027. He'll be 34. Then we're talking about, can he work his way back? Oh boy, that is,
And now he's fighting. Then from there, he's fighting the Bonfims and the Fakhratynovs of the world, where like they're tough outs, but he gains like very little from winning those fights.
Man.
So yeah, it's a tough spot for him, man. But he needs this one more. I'll get to this in a second. Spencer, hello, gentlemen. Fired up, rare occasion. Need to watch every fight on a card these days. Plus or minus 2.5 future champs on the card, not counting the main or co-main.
Oh, that's good. That is good. Well, I think, so I already have 2. Do I have a third? Oh, boy. Because obviously I'm looking at Michael Morales, one of mine.
Yeah.
I guess I have to say Fatima Klein, just as go along with the cool kids who are all picking her to be a strawweight champion someday. I'm not sold on Malcolm Wellmaker being a champion, so I'm not. I know that's where a lot of people would be their third.
No, yeah,
it's just a tough division. He could. I'm not saying he can't. I'm saying it's a tough division. Way too early to predict.
We've just learned nothing about him, and it's unfortunate. The good news for Wellmaker is even if he doesn't win a belt, like he's still gonna be like popular and a fan favorite and like a guy who probably has a job with the UFC for as long as he wants to fight because he is so exciting and you can just throw him out there to like highlight real people. Like a lot of people have had great careers just doing that, but he is talented. But not, I mean, fighting Ethan Ewing, like this does nothing for him outside of just giving him a moment at MSG, which is great. But yeah, I wanted that Haddon fight so badly.
Obviously, you could talk me into Bo Nickel. You could talk me into Jimmy Suss, and probably still Aaron Blanchfield, right? Like, I don't think we've given up the Aaron Blanchfield, especially if she just puts on a really strong performance against Tracy Cortez. Like, so I'm actually gonna go under. I will go under. The strongest I feel are Michael Morales and maybe Fatima Klein. I just don't. I can't quite go on Bo, Aaron Blanchfield, or Wellmaker yet, or even Jimmy Suss. Jimmy Suss, I need to see a little more too, but I get it. He'd be up there, so I'll go under 2.5.
I think Jimmy Suss is like my favorite in this conversation.
Ooh,
because he's like super young too, and he's only gonna get better, and he's in a division where he could rise up very quickly, and the UFC really likes him, so they're gonna get him as long as he like stays out of trouble, and even if he gets in trouble, like the UFC will probably promote him more. Let's be honest, but he's got something for sure. There's something about that guy that he's got it all. I'll say under. I'm usually gonna say under in those questions anyways, because it's just so hard to win a belt. It's very, very difficult to win a belt. You need a lot of things to break into your favorite. So we'll go to some other picks in a second. David Chaudhry, our member Santa Claus, so to speak.
Well, now I have to answer this question because
Yes.
it's our member Santa Claus.
How are your picks overall this year?
Damn. So thankfully I saw this pop up in the stream earlier. So I have my Tapology page open. I'm at a steady. This is like the number I've been at almost, I think, the last 4 years. Like I'm at a steady 62%. So
that's pretty good, man.
Yeah, 3 out of 5. I always, I imagine, again, I'm not a big fight picker guy, despite fighting predictions for MMAfighting.com. I would imagine you want to beat chalk, right? People who beat chalk are the good people, right? People who are like at 70%, right? And I don't know what chalk is. I don't know if you picked all favorites, I'm not sure what the number would be. My guess is like closer to 65, 66%. So if I had just done that, I think I'd be higher, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Like I said, I don't keep up with lines. I'm sure someone could find very quickly, like, how would you do if you just picked every favorite in every UFC fight? I don't know. Maybe it's lower. Maybe it's closer to, 50, high 50s. I doubt it. My guess would be 65, 66%. So I'm below. I feel like I'm below average. But whatever. I'm okay. I don't love picking fights. I like writing about them. I think doing predictions is fun, but I don't gamble. Gotta tell you, I don't bet on MMA. So yeah, just like average. I'm like probably a little below average. Probably how I'd say it.
All right. Joseph, he has a bunch of questions. We touched on pretty much all of them, but we didn't touch on this one. Is Aaron Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez a title eliminator at women's flyweight, or is Natalia Silva still the number one contender?
Joseph, this is an easy question. There is no such thing as number one contender in UFC. So number one contender is in UFC is the Schrodinger's cat of sports. It's like you are the number one contender. You are both the number one contender, and you are also not the number one contender. When you step into the cage, you are now the number one contender. When someone else steps into the cage, you are not the number one contender. That's just how it works. I think that no matter who wins Saturday, that Natalia Silva should still be the number one contender. But that's not really how it works, guys. It's all about timing, right? It's all about timing. Do they need Natalia? Like, does Natalia Silva want to fight someone else and stay busy in the first quarter of 2026? Well, guess what? She's not the number one contender anymore. She's probably gonna have to find a fight because I don't know what's gonna happen with the winner of Saturday's co-main event. Same again with Blanchfield and Tracy Cortez. Whoever wins that, how quickly can they turn around? Who's ready for a title shot? So to answer your question, sign of the way, yes and no. Yes and no. She should be the number one contender still. But I don't know what that means to the matchmakers.
I think there's zero chance the winner of this fight gets a title fight.
Oh.
Unless it's like circumstances where a fight is booked, the challenger pulls out 6 weeks before, and then they need to slot somebody in. Aaron got dusted by Manon Fiorot. Like in a fight that was not competitive for more than 12 seconds in 25 minutes. And Manon just absolutely ran over Jasmine Jasudavicius. So she's not going to Manon just fought for the belt. And Blanchfield, no matter what she does, ain't jumping over Manon. Like she's just not. So she's out right now. Natty Ice absolutely deserves it. But again, we've had this conversation. Macy Barber is fighting, knock on wood, in December at the last pay-per-view ever for the UFC. Macy Barber, I think, is already ahead of Erin Blanchfield. And I'm not looking at this from like a merit perspective. I'm looking at this through the lens of the UFC. Dana White loves making Contender Series fighters champions. Macy still garners a lot of attention, whether good or bad, with everything she does. I think Macy is ahead of her already. And if Macy wins, she'd just be, I think Erin is going to have to win like 3 or 4 fights before she gets a title shot. It stinks. Because also, if Zhang Weili wins, you know they're running it back with Valentina. So that like immediately stunts the title picture. Unless she just obliterates her. But even then, if Valentina's like, hey, I'm Valentina, let's run this one back, I think the UFC would look at it. I think she's very far away now. Cortez.
I was going to say, I didn't hear Tracy's name in there, Mike. Didn't hear Tracy's name in there.
Tracy won't get a title fight off of this win. She's gonna have to get another one because I'm sorry, like it would.
They like her. The UFC likes her a lot.
They love her.
They love her.
She's got the right manager. Like she's got everything she needs to make the UFC happy. But this would be a pretty egregious title shot if she jumped over everybody else, and it would be very obvious what the UFC was trying to do here. We're trying to build a star. Like it would just, you can't. But give her one more. Like, honestly, like, I think, like, if Erin wins, her path to the belt is still a long one. If Cortez wins, her path is way shorter. She is 1 win away from getting it. So, I think if Tracy wins, it's terrible for Natty Ice. It's terrible for Natty Ice. Because Natty is going to have, I mean, I think Natty would beat Tracy Cortez anyways.
I would assume so, yeah.
But that is 1,000,000% the fight the UFC is going to make. Like, poor Manon is like, what? She's going to have to watch Tracy Cortez. Because they're not going to put Tracy Cortez in there with Manon. They're not going to do that. But they might put her in there with Natty Ice. And they'll call it an eliminator. So, yeah. I think Erin's got some work to do. It would be big for Tracy to get it, though. She would literally just probably have to win one more. Maybe you throw her in there with Alexa Grasso, who is just not the same fighter as she was as champion. So, I don't know, man. It's a weird time, especially with this new Paramount deal coming up.
Yeah.
Like, I guarantee you they're going to have some say into, like, what they want. They're paying him $7.7 billion. So, I don't know.
Yeah, all these questions about like where does this win put this person in the rankings and who is the number one? Like, you're not going to get a clear answer until like February, because we need to know what the hell is going on in some of these divisions. Like unrelated to like this conversation, Ilia Topuria, we still don't know who Ilia Topuria is fighting. Like we thought we had an answer with Paddy Pimblett. We don't know, and it might be affected by what happens in this main event. We on Saturday, we don't know. And the UFC is playing very tight with. If you've watched like any press conferences and media appearances from Dana and stuff over the last like 2 months, like, or maybe just last month, I should say, there's not a lot they can say. There's not a lot they can promote because they're getting ready for eventually, hopefully this weekend, fingers crossed, like a bunch of big announcements to tell us how they're going to kick off the Paramount era. But until that happens, a lot of people are just waiting. I really feel for the fighters. It's a lot of waiting. Lots of uncertainty. I guarantee you all these questions you guys are asking, a lot of these fighters are asking the same thing. They're asking themselves, they're asking their manager, what the hell's the UFC, what the hell's going on? And they're not going to know for a while. It's going to be a while for some people to get some answers.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Lazy bed. Will the referees enforce their newly announced rule of enforcing the rules?
well put. I don't know.
This is my favorite story of 2025 in all of MMA.
Oh my gosh. It's funny to us. It's funny to us. I don't know, man.
Yes, Michael and Paul, we had a meeting. We had this meeting, all of the higher ups, we got in a room and we were like, we're going to buckle down until we have a decision. And here's what we came to. We have this rule. There's a rule in place that, you know, if you extend your fingers like this, it's illegal. But we haven't been enforcing that. So now we're going to start enforcing it. Oh my God. What? I can't believe he said that in a public setting like that. It's friggin' insane. And then you have John McCarthy out there, who is like the godfather of rules and refereeing, being like, hey, you can't compare it to other sports because all of these fights are 29-28. So you can't just take points all the time. Again, as we've said, like, it doesn't have to be a point every time, but like there has to be a repercussion for it. Like you have to do something, like lose a position or something. You can't just like poke a dude in the eye, knuckle deep, and have nothing happen. Hey, if you do it again, we're going to have a conversation about it. Oh, you did it again. Swear to God, this is the last warning. Like this has to change. But how do you think the refereeing will be? It is New York. They are a little stingier in New York.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll look at this event and be like, okay, we'll feel like 321 where we got a point taken like in the second fight?
We already had some chicanery. Like you saw, they had the digital scale.
I love that. By the way.
You do? You're a digital scale guy?
I mean,
no, I want to be lied to
for big events like this.
No, the big events. I want no scale. I want them to. I just eyeball the fighter and be like, yeah, you're looking about.
You know, do I love the guy just slamming it home in Las Vegas? Sure. I don't want to see a digital scale in Vegas, but friggin', New York, come on.
JDM weighed in at 170.4 on his first attempt, and then he had to strip down and lost 6 ounces of shorts. And I'm like, what's the point of this? We know he's close enough to and even though 170.4 is close to 170.5, I still think Jeff Mullen in Nevada would have just been like, it's not 0.5. Nope, he's in. It's I round down. I'm rounding down. I don't need this. Yes. So how will they handle the rest of officiating? Do we know any of the? Oh, do we know the assignments for the main and co-main, Mike? We must know, right? I
have not heard.
Let me look at this real quick. I'm sure someone has them. I don't know what to trust here. As AI is saying, okay, I don't know. Wow, surprise! I'm actually surprised. I actually can't.
I don't think people know until they get media will find out when they get to the event, when they have the finalized lineup and everything.
Interesting. Because listen, some guys are under the microscope, man. Some names people we like too, whether we like them because of their personalities or we think they're actually good officials. Like we got our eye on Dan Miragliotta. Obviously, if we see Big Dan in there, a lot of scrutiny. Jason Herzog. Even Mark Goddard, again, great official. I love how open he is to the media, but at the same time, he's had some sketchy moments this year. It's not an easy job, when I don't want to call anyone out because I think I do genuinely believe for the most part, every referee is, doing what they can under these apparent guidelines they had, Mike, to not necessarily call every foul. It's insane. But yeah, we'll go case by case. This will be one of the stories of the night. You'll see a lot of people tweeting about if Dan Miragliotta shows up, if whoever, when we talk about officiating, even Mark Smith handles some situations perfectly, was part of some big controversies. We'll find out, man. We'll find out. Definitely something to keep an eye on. I hate that has to be one of the storylines going to an event like this, but it is. It is.
You know what that sound means? It's time to go. Look, I could talk about this event for another 90 minutes.
Yes, I can't wait.
I really could.
And you will tomorrow. I mean, we're 45 an hour.
Way more than that. Yeah. There's a lot going on in New York. Jose, our legendary boots on the ground. There'll be a fan Q&A. It's a loaded one, too. I think it's Masvidal, Poirier, Usman, and Joanna Jędrzejczyk are the panel. So we'll have the ceremonial weigh-ins. So look for all the social clips, all that stuff on the YouTube channel. And then tomorrow we get after it. We got boxing. We got Eubank Ben 2, which there's some heat there. So we'll be on that. And then obviously UFC 322, People's Pre-Fight Show, 45 minutes before the start. So I think we'll probably go 5:15 p.m. Eastern. Watch party, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Bo Nickel, Hidalgo Vieira, and on. I can't friggin' wait for tomorrow. So get some rest, relax, and we will see you tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Let's effing go.
MMA is fun.
Isn't it fun when it's fun?
It's so fun when it's fun.